I am Deepak Maslekar, working as assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at WIT Solapur. The topic for today's discussion is transducer, sensors and actuators. So learning outcomes of this session are, at the end of this session, students should be able to define what is a transducer, what is sensor, what is actuator. Students should be able to classify the transducers, as well as they should be able to classify the sensors and classify the actuators. So let us understand what is transducer. Transducer is a device that transforms energy from one form to another. So transducer converts one form of energy into another form of energy, and the transducer acts as an interface between physical world and electronic system. Now let us understand what is a sensor. Sensor is a type of transducer that detects physical changes in the environment and converts them into electrical signal. So basically, a sensor is sensing the physical changes in the environment and converting them into electrical signal. Now what is an actuator? An actuator is a type of transducer that converts electrical signal into mechanical movement. Let us now understand what are the types of transducers. Actually, transducers can be classified in multiple ways, but here I have given some short way of classification, especially for undergraduate students. The types of transducers based on energy conversion. So based on energy conversion, transducers can be divided into two groups: input transducers and output transducers. Input transducers can also be termed as sensors. And what is the speciality of input transducers? These input transducers convert physical quantity into an electrical signal. And the examples of input transducer are thermocouple and LDR. Now, output transducers are also known as actuators, and what they do, they convert electrical signal into physical changes. For example, speakers and motors. So when we give electrical signal to the speaker or to the motors, then we will get an effect in the form of mechanical movement. So this is about transducers. Let us now understand the classification of transducers based on signal type. So based on signal type, transducers can be classified as analog transducers and digital transducers. What are analog transducers? They provide continuous output signal. For example, strain gauge, thermistor. So they provide continuous output signal. Such transducers are analog transducers. Now what are digital transducers? They provide discrete signals. For example, rotary encoder and digital thermometer. So these are digital transducers. So based on signal type, transducers can be classified as analog transducers and digital transducers. Let us now understand about the classification of sensors. So there are different types of sensors. Now, here is the classification which is given based on the physical quantity that is to be measured or that is to be sensed. If we want to sense the temperature change, then the transducer is termed as temperature sensor. And there are some temperature sensors like thermocouple, thermistor, RTD, resistance temperature detector. So these are the temperature sensors shown here. Pressure sensors, I am talking about types of sensors. The sensors could be pressure sensors. That means we can employ these sensors for sensing change in pressure. And whenever there will be change in pressure, then the sensor will generate an electrical signal. Pressure sensors are piezoelectric sensors where crystal deformation produces voltage, or a Bourdon tube, which is used in Bourdon tube pressure gauge, that is a mechanical pressure measurement. So pressure sensor, temperature sensor, these are the types of sensors. In addition to this, there are some more types of sensors. Let us understand those. Proximity sensors such as inductive sensors, capacitive sensors, and ultrasonic sensors. See, these proximity sensors are generally used to detect the objects. Now the object may be metallic object or the object may be non-metallic object. If the object that is to be detected by the sensor is a metallic object, then we are using inductive sensor. If the object that is to be detected is a non-metallic object, then we will use capacitive sensor. And ultrasonic sensor is also a proximity sensor which is used for the detection of object or sometimes for the detection of distance, for the measurement of distance of object from sensor. And this ultrasonic sensor uses sound waves. Sound wave is transmitted by a transmitter, and when object comes in front of the sound wave get reflected. This reflected sound wave is collected by receiver, and based on this, the ultrasonic sensor generates an electrical signal. Now, the next type of sensors is optical sensors. Optical sensors uses photodiodes or some optical principles are used behind the working of optical sensors. And the examples are photodiodes, LDR, IR sensors, infrared sensors. They are widely used in remote control. So these are optical sensors. And another type of sensor is motion sensor. Motion sensor, they are used to detect change in position or change in velocity or change in acceleration of the object. So these motion sensors generates electrical signal whenever they find change in the velocity or displacement or acceleration. And the motion sensors involve accelerometers and gyroscopes. Here is about actuator. Please recall, an actuator is a type of transducer that converts electrical signal into mechanical movement. Now, there is a classification of actuators. Actuators could be electrical actuators, pneumatic actuators, hydraulic actuators, or thermal actuators. In the case of electrical actuators, we are considering solenoids, DC motor, electric motors as electrical actuators, because when electrical supply is given to the solenoids, they converts that electrical energy into linear motion. If we provide electrical supply to motors, then the electrical energy get converted into rotational motion. Pneumatic actuators uses compressed air to create the movement. Hydraulic actuators, they uses fluid pressure to generate the force. And thermal actuators uses change in temperature to produce the movement. Here is the reference. Thank you.